Reports have it that Alex Caruso, or the asking price for Alex Caruso, seems to be in the OG Anunoby type range. And at this point, we have to ask, is AK just trying to get too much? Is he trying to do too much for the pieces that we have? Let's talk about that and more right after this. Always love that intro, man. You know who it is. It's your boy Pkidd. We get right into the topic. We're not going to sit there and waste any time with it. Alex Caruso is one of our better players on the Chicago Bulls. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you actually look at what we have from a plus minus perspective, I think he still maintains one of the highest plus minuses on the Chicago Bulls roster, and it's probably not even close. From a defensive and offensive perspective, things seem to go well when Alex Caruso is on the floor, and he's highly coveted around the league because of that. Unfortunately, Alex Caruso is also a solidified role player. He is someone that is very nice to have. He's, some would even say, a necessity if you're trying to shore up something defensively, or just make sure you always have someone who can make the right plays. But he is not always the necessity, in the sense of he's not going to be able to carry your particular team. And with the Bulls being as depleted as they are right now, with Zach being injured, DeMar probably being traded, especially since you haven't worked out a deal for him, it kind of comes down to this: what are we going to do now with these assets? And if history proves to, you know, teach us anything, if we want to put it that way, AK has held his cards a little too long and tried to play them too tight, and it's cost him. If you look at the opportunity he had to trade Zach LaVine for what would have been the same trade package that the Knicks got for RJ and things of that nature, yeah, we could have had those particular players. We could have had that OG Anunoby type trade with the Chicago Bulls and New York Knicks, including Zach LaVine and maybe some other picks. Like, it could have happened, but we didn't take it. If you look at other moves ever made around the league, some other moves that were flirted around with, we could have had other deals on the table, but we held our cards too close. We coveted our pieces, when in all actuality, we really apparently had no real commitment to them. Zach getting paid that max contract is just simply but what he was worth. That was market for him, and that's just what he deserved for what his production was and what he had done for the city of Chicago. Did it amount to us actually winning anything? No, but if you look at the circumstances around it, Zach LaVine was still worth that contract. There's nothing you can say about that. Plus, you don't want to let that player type of just walk away. So realistically, the moment and the opportunity to trade or make moves has just passed AK by in so many different respects. Even now, I think you look at DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan's value was higher last season when I think we all knew you weren't going to keep both Zach and DeMar. I think we all saw that, but yet no moves were made. Now it's almost as people know that we're desperate. And I don't think you're going to get the same haul for those players. I don't think that's even possible at this particular point, because now we're at the mercy of everyone else. I say all that to say what Alex Caruso and what we are reportedly asking for Alex Caruso makes no sense, and I wouldn't do it. Therefore, I don't see anyone else doing it. And I hate this to be such a negative video, but I think this is exactly what happens when you have a GM who I think just tries to do a little too much. And that just is what it is. I can't even describe it a different way. There's nothing for me. I can't justify any of the moves we've made. I can't justify any of the things that we've done in the sense of how we've just packaged it all together, really. The interesting thing is I just don't get it. I don't get it. And so what I will say is the Chicago Bulls are probably going to be bad, and probably be very bad for the next couple of years, simply because we just missed our window of opportunity. And the whole idea that we're going to retool and try to compete still just doesn't make sense, because even retooling right now, there's not a player that we can just grab right now and just throw on this roster that's going to put us at the top of the East. We're still going to be a play-in team at best, bottom of the East, at or bottom play-off team at most, and not really compete for a championship. We just aren't there. We aren't constructed in that space well at all. And again, we're still missing one critical part that everyone keeps ignoring, because they think Kobe White is it. Kobe White is a really good player. He's a really good scorer, but we do not have a point guard. And I want people to understand this. There are other teams that are still struggling because they don't have a point. The Phoenix Suns don't have a point guard. And because the Phoenix Suns don't have a point guard, they at times struggle as to who gets the ball at certain times or not. Guess what? You need that point guard when you have that many type of talented people on the same team. I don't care what anyone says. Bradley Beal's a two guard. Devin Booker's a two guard. KD is not a point guard. You need your Ray John Rondo if you're going to have that inflection of talent. You need your Mario Chalmers if you're going to have that type of talent. With you need your name of another one. You need heck Draymond ran point really for Golden State. I don't care what anyone says. Iggy ran point for Golden State at times. Like you need people who are going to sacrifice themselves to actually put people in position and not just go out and try to lead with their own scoring ability. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. We're just not constructed that way. And when you have that situation, guess what? You find yourself exactly where you are right now. I've said this a plenty of times on this channel. I'm going to continue to say it because at the end of the day, that's exactly what we have. Now, the asking price for Alex Caruso is extremely high. I think that's done intentionally, but I also think that that's one of those things that just seems to be the way that AK handles business. And I'll say this, I said this on the Winning City Breeze, I'll say it here on Chicago Bulls Breeze. The way you did things in Denver may have worked there. This is Chicago. You may not have that same runway here. I know what everyone said in the past. We kept certain people, we kept Garpax and all that stuff. He may not have that same runway here. I just throw that out there. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that's the end all be all, but I'm just saying legitimately, he may not have that same runway, and that's just realistically the fan base is getting tired. We've had the right talent. You've missed on your coach. You've drafted people out of place that don't make sense. It's a lot piling up on AK right now that looked good initially, but turned out disastrously. And at the end of the day, he's going to have to pay for it. And it may be with his job, especially if we're still not trying to make appropriate moves to get us there. Like, don't tell me we're not rebuilding. We need to rebuild. We have to rebuild. It didn't work, and it's okay. But to say that we're not trying to, unless you just pull off some miraculous trade in the next 2 days, you're rebuilding, my G. Just call it what it is. But those are my thoughts, man. I want to hear yours. You've been rocking with us all this time. I want to hear what you all have to say. Do you think that AK's asking price for Alex Caruso is too much? OG Anunoby type trade? Seriously, bro, get out of here. Like, I like Alex. I ain't paying Alex that much. I ain't trading Alex for that. He's not. No, Alex probably don't think he's worth that much. Heck, I wouldn't trade me for that much if I was Alex. Anyway, I digress. I want to hear your thoughts. Whether it's love, whether it's hate, put in the chat. I'll be in there with you. Till next time. Peace.